Do you remember where you were 2 years ago? I certainly do. It was fall 2016. We'd spent most of the summer watching the trial of Brock Turner, the Stanford student who had raped an unconscious girl behind a dumpster. And now his father was claiming that his son's life was being ruined for 20 minutes of action. New reports of Bill Cosby's assaults against women seemed to be happening daily. After numerous women had come forward alleging that they had been groped, and worse, by then-candidate Donald Trump, a video had just emerged in which he said to a little girl, "I could be dating you in 10 years." And my father was dying. I couldn't help but contrast my dad, a kind, gentle, progressive-thinking man who treated everyone with respect, with those brutes who objectified women and girls, their only excuse being that boys will be boys and that it was just locker room talk. As a woman and as a mother of daughters, I was beyond outraged. So I did what we do. I posted on Facebook. I called my righteous rant an open letter to men in positions of power, and I railed on men who abused their wealth, fame, and power to marginalize and harm women and girls. I compared them with the men that I called the truly powerful ones, men like my father and my husband, who play with their children, who teach and encourage their daughters, who cry. The article was recently posted on the church's blog, and I just learned this morning that it's actually available in the foyer. But at the time, I didn't have any idea what would happen with my letter. Often, such a tirade is met with a few thumbs up and maybe a few additional comments, and then it's quickly forgotten as people turn back to their videos of bunnies and kittens. But I'm a member of a community, this community, so something else happened. Fellow All Souls member and Facebook friend Brian Turner read my letter, and he saw it as a call to action. He was willing to examine himself in the ways that he might be contributing to society's misogynistic attitudes. And because he is a member of this community, he realized that even that wasn't enough. He gathered other men together who were willing to do the grueling, often painful work of examining themselves. They formed a group called Redefining Masculinity, which Barbara spoke of this morning, to learn how they could be better allies to women and girls and to become more fully and authentically themselves as well. The work that they continue to do is amazing. The existence of this group points to why I love All Souls so much. This church is a place where we are not afraid to talk about difficult issues. We're not afraid to get real. Starting with our youngest children, we have a sexuality education program called Our Whole Lives that teaches our kids how to be in control of their own bodies. Through their OWL training at this church, my daughters learned that we are all sexual beings and that talking about sex isn't shameful. They learned about pregnancy and STD prevention, about power differentials, and about consent. Though our society may try to chip away at them by sending them messages that they are not enough, I trust that they have a solid foundation to form their own decisions, not out of guilt or shame or fear, but with a realistic, holistic view of themselves as intellectual, spiritual, and yes, sexual beings. Last spring, Barbara gave a sermon about the Me Too movement, sharing her own experience of being objectified and demeaned by a complete stranger. Knowing that her sermon might trigger emotional responses in other women who'd had similar traumas, All Souls prepared by bringing in counselors to meet with anyone who wanted to talk with them. And we're doing the same thing this morning. Just 2 weeks ago, Redefining Masculinity hosted a panel discussion that continued the dialogue about what women all too often experience. I felt honored to sit on a panel with 5 other women and share our different yet universal stories. We were all open, honest, and vulnerable, and we were heard. So I look at the events of this past week, and I could feel overwhelmingly discouraged. Obviously, there's still so much to be done. But All Souls rolls up its collective sleeves and goes to work tackling tough issues in our CRE classrooms, in the men's and now the women's groups, and from the pulpit. I support this church because it's a place where we are willing to listen to one another even when what is being said is difficult to hear. I support All Souls because it gives our children honest, factual information so that they can make their own decisions regarding their own bodies. I support this church because All Souls stands as a beacon of freedom for all people, and that isn't free. We speak out against injustice in our community, in our nation, and in our world. We are the light of change. As you consider your pledge for the upcoming year, I encourage you to search within your own heart for what All Souls means to you. And if you do so, I am sure that you will certainly feel called to give generously so that this church can continue to work for justice and dignity for all. Thank you.